Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmates. Today, I will report the three social theories. And I have chosen this topic among all the topics in this course because it excites me the most. And these three social theories are structural functional theory, the conflict theory, and the symbolic interactionist theory perspective. And these three theories are being employed by sociologists today. And these three theories provide theoretical paradigms to sociologists on explaining on how society affects people and how people affects society. Let's start with our first social theory, which is the structural functional theory. And it was proposed by Herbert Spencer. And Herbert Spencer is a utilitarian education. So naniniwala siyang in order to survive in a society, kailangan mag-focus tayo sa specialist education over the general education. And according kay Herbert Spencer, that society is a system of interconnected parts, each with a unique functions. So ayon po sa kanya, that these different parts must function well para magkaroon tayo ng stability sa ating society. At dagdag pa roon that society is compared or can be compared to human body with different but interrelated parts performing different functions. So sa ating pong katawan, meron tayong mata na ginagamit natin upang makakita. Meron tayong bibig na ginagamit natin upang tayo ay makapagsalita. Meron tayong mga kamay na ginagamit natin upang tayo ay makapagbuhat ng mga bagay. Meron tayong mga paa upang makapaglakad. At ganyan din po yung ating society tulad ng ating human body. Ang ating pong society ay kinukompose ng different parts na kung tawagin natin ay mga institution. And this institution ay tulad ng mga school, ng economy, ng church, ng politics, ng market. So ang mga institusyong ito po ay kailangan pong mag-function ng maayos sapagkat kung kahit alinman sa isa dito sa institusyong ito ay hindi mag-function ng maayos ay maapektuhan po yung society as a whole. So sabi po doon that the overall health of the society depends on the health of its structure. Kaya po mahalaga that yung lahat po ng parteng iyon ay nag-function ng maayos. Ngayon, sa paanong paraan nagkakaroon ng stability sa ating society? So ayon po sa mga functionalist, nagkakaroon lamang ng stability sa ating society kapag yung school po natin ay nagbibigay ng kalidad na edukasyon, yung ating pong market ay nagsusupply ng ating pangangailangan sa pang-araw-araw nating pamumuhay, kapag yung ating pong gobyerno ay pinamamahalaan tayo ng maayos, kapag yung ating church ay nag-establish ng moral fiber sa mga tao. So sabi po doon that failure of one institution means a disruption to the social stability. So, sa halimbawa po niyan is kapag yung bata ay hindi nabibigyan ng atensyon ng magulang sa isang tahanan. So, maaaring magkaroon ng hindi magandang gawi yung batang iyon na maaari naman niyang madala sa paaralan. So, dito po makikita natin na hindi lamang yung pamilya ang naapektuhan. Bagkus yung ibang mga institusyon katulad ng paaralan ay maaari ding maapektuhan o naapektuhan na. Okay, what is the regard of functionalism to school? So ayon dito, that it focuses on how education serves the need of society through the development of skills, encouraging social cohesion. So, naniniwala ang mga functionalists that the primary role of school is to prepare students to become part of the institution at para makibahagi dito. So, dito sa school, nagkakaroon ng transmission of skills, the knowledge, as well as yung mga moral values na mahalaga sa buhay ng tao, lalo't higit sa socialization process. Gayun din, dito sa school, ang iba't ibang tao mula sa iba't ibang background, mula sa iba't ibang kultura at tradisyon, so we are brought to school and doon na nagkakaroon ng tinatawag nating social cohesion. Kaya naman itong mga functionalists natin, they regard education as beneficial contribution to an ordered society. Functionalism does not encourage people to take an active role in changing their social environment even when such change may benefit them. Instead, functionalists look at social change as undesirable. So bakit daw po? Kasi po, naniniwala sila na kapag isang institusyon ay hindi natugunan o napunan yung kanyang role, ay nariyan pa rin yung ibang institusyon para punan o tugunan ito. So, ang isang halimbawa po nito ay yung aking sinabi kanina, na kapag ang isang estudyante ay hindi nabibigyan ng sapat na atensyon, sapat na pagmamahal ng magulang sa isang tahanan, so nariyan pa rin po ang paaralan para magalinga sa kanya. Lalo tigit ang mga guro. This is the very reason why teachers are called the second parents. Second parents, sorry. Teachers are not only there to teach, but instead, they are also there para kalingain yung mga batang lalo tigit na nangangailangan ng pagkalinga. Let's now move on the purpose of schooling according to functionalists. And in here, we have 4 purposes, which are the intellectual purposes, the political purposes, the economic purposes, and of course, the social purposes. And we talk about first the intellectual purposes. When we talk about intellectual purposes, it means acquisition of cognitive skills. And of course, in school, narito tayo upang matuto. Matuto sa iba't ibang asignatura tulad na lamang ng mathematics, ng English, ng science, ng social science, at kung ano-ano pa. At habang tumataas yung ating antas ng edukasyon na nakukuha, ay nadadagdagan yung ating mga nalalaman. Nadadagdagan yung ating nalalamang mga skills. At itong mga kaalaman at mga skills na nakukuha natin sa pag-aral ng iba't ibang mga asignatura ay higit na nakakatulong sa atin sa pang-araw-araw nating pamumuhay. At sa kasalukuyan ngayon, isa sa life skill na inaturo sa mga bata ngayon ay yung natawag nating inquiry skills. Asa natin ito ngayon matatagpuan? Matatagpuan natin ito ngayon sa paggawa ng research. Na ang research na ginagawa ng mga bata ay hindi lamang about sa manuscript. It also talks about, or it significantly talks about, yung pag-inform ng action. Kasi yung mga findings na nakukuha or nagbumula doon sa isang research ay masigit na nakakatulong sa pagresolba ng mga problem na nai-encounter natin sa society. The next one is the political purposes. And when we talk about political purposes, it means to educate future citizens, promote patriotism, promote assimilation of immigrants, ensure order, public civility, and conformity to the laws. In short, it talks about having political awareness and civic awareness. Dahil ang realidad ay hindi lamang tayong mag-isa ang nabubuhay sa mundong ibabaw. Napakaraming tao dito sa mundo. Kaya naman, ang isa sa mga role ng school ay i-develop ang pagiging makatuwiran, ang pagiging makatarungan ng mga estudyante, lalo tigit kung ang gagawing pagbabasya ay makakaapekto sa kanila, sa kanilang sarili, sa ating sarili, at sa ating kapwa, at lalo tigit kung ang ating gagawin ay makakaapekto sa kalagayan ng ating bansa sa hinaharap. And the third one is the economic purposes. And when we talk about economic purposes, it means to prepare students for later work roles and to select and train the labor force needed by the society. And an example of that is what I am actually doing right now. And I am an education student aspiring to be a future educator. And as future educator, I should be knowledgeable enough. And I should have a pleasing personality and should be dynamic as well. At isa pa, dapat marunong din akong ng pedagogy, the way I teach and the way I handle my students. At yun yung inagawa ko ngayong paghahanda. Kaya naman, ang bawat profesyon, kagaya ng teaching, ay may kanya-kanyang preparasyon at paghahanda na dapat talagang inagawa, lalo tigit ng mga college students. And lastly, in our list, we have the social purpose. And the fact that school is one of the significant grounds of socialization, schooling becomes the language promoting the sense of social and moral responsibilities. So bakit po? Sapagkat po, dito sa school, tinuturuan ng mga bata ng pagkakaroon ng tamang disiplina. And likewise, it serves as site for the solution or resolution of social problems. At karaniwan talaga na dito sa school, dito nire-resolve yung mga problema ng mga bata na buhat naman mula doon sa ibang mga institusyon, particular na sa pamilya. And lastly, it supplements the efforts of other institutions of socialization such as the family and the church. In short, the school becomes the focal point of all the institutions. So halimbawa na lamang ng school and church relationship Instead na yung mga bata ay pumunta sa church every first Friday, yung church na mismo ang inadala sa school para doon na mag-conduct ng misa. The second one in our three social theories is the so-called the conflict theory. And in conflict theory, there are always two opposing sides in a conflict situation. And people usually take sides between maintaining the status quo or introducing new change before they arrive at an agreement. This is the very reason why the conflict theory welcomes conflict, for that is the way to the establishment of new society. And this is also the reason why the conflict theories look for potential conflict between two groups where inequality exists. Inequality in terms of the gender, the political affiliation, the religion, and so on and so forth. At naniniwala ang mga conflict theories na dahil sa inequality ito sa dalawang grupo, doon na nagkakaroon ng ating competition. At this constant competition ang nagiging basis ng isang ever-changing society. Ang isang halimbawa nito ay ang mga factory worker at ang owner. Di ba po, ang factory worker ay gusto talaga nila ng change. Change for better working condition and higher salary. But the owners are naturally opposed to such. But, pag nagkaroon na ng compromise between the two, doon na magkakaroon ng change. Change in a way na both the owner and the factory workers are satisfied and happy in the result. Let's now move on how the proponents of the conflict theory regard education. According to this, education is not truly a social benefit or opportunity as seen by the functionalist. Rather, education is a powerful means of maintaining power structures and creating a docile work for capitalism. Naniniwala ang mga conflict theories that the very reason of inequality in the society is education. At ayon din sa kanila that education is there to preserve the position of the higher authorities at para maturuan yung mga working class na tanggapin yung kanilang kapalaran as lower working class ng ating society. At ang mga conflict theories ay tinatawag itong hidden curriculum. At ayon dito, the hidden curriculum socializes young people into obedience and conformity for them to be developed as docile workers. And of course, the functionalists naturally opposed to such. Naniniwala ang mga functionalists na nariyan ng school upang ang mga individual ay turuan ng disiplina, ng tamang pagsunod sa batas, ng civil rights, ng pagrespeto sa mga nakakatanda at pagrespeto sa mga otoridad. At kung magkaganon ang mangyayari, ay magiging maganda ang bunga ng edukasyon. Ayon din sa kanila na ang tunay na purpose ng education ay hindi upang mapanatili yung inequality at mapanatili yung kapangyarihan ng mga matataas na posisyon, kundi upang mabago at maitama ito. The last one in our three social theories is the so-called the symbolic interactionist theory perspective, or also known as the symbolic interactionism. And this theory has three main tenets. And the first one is, an individual's action depends on meaning. And people give meaning to symbol. And symbol can be in objects, can be in words and action. Halimbawa na lamang ay kapag yung teacher ay ipinapakita niya na naniniwala siya sa kakayanan ng estudyante. Yung estudyanteng yon ay kikilos na ayon dun sa paniniwala ng kanyang teacher at ipapakita talaga niya na meron siyang kakayanan. Ngunit kung ang ginagawa naman ng teacher ay kabaliktaran at ipinapakita niya na hindi siya naniniwala dun sa kakayanan ng estudyante, so yung behavior ng estudyante ay nakaayon dun sa low perception noong teacher. The second tenet of symbolic interactionism is, different people may give different meanings to the same thing. Halimbawa na lamang ay kapag stricto yung teacher. Yung ibang estudyante ay maaaring tingnan nito as extension ng care ng teacher, ngunit yung ibang estudyante rin naman ay maaaring tingnan nito as negative, as it limits their freedom and behavior as students. Another example. So I have here this one, and laymen may say that this is just for letter H and C letter and O letter which are connected to each other. And it is actually correct. But since we are science students studying organic chemistry, we look at it something different. And we look at it as organic compound, particularly alcohol. Kaya naman, dito sa ating pangalawang tenet ng symbolic interactionism, dito natin matatagpuan yung quotation na, hindi porket tama ka ay mali na ako. You just haven't seen my life from my perspective. Third tenet, meanings change as individuals interact with one another. Dito sa ating pangatlong tenet ng symbolic interactionism, malaki ang ginagampanan ng socialization. Through socialization, nababago yung ating pagtingin sa mga simbol at nababago yung ating pagtingin sa mga bagay. Halimbawa na lamang ay kapag ang unang tingin mo sa mathematics ay napakahirap na subject. Ngunit nung nakilala mo yung teacher na yun na magaling magturo ng asignaturang mathematics sa iyo, sa kinalaunan ay masasabi mong kaya mo naman pala ang mathematics at hindi naman pala ito ganoon kahirap. Now, what is the implication of symbolic interactionism to teaching? So, teachers must continue to teach for meaning. Teachers must promote and create opportunities for genuine interaction among our students, teachers, and even between students and teachers. And interaction is not only about dealing with warm bodies. Ang interaction ay maaari din nating matagpuan sa pamamagitan ng pagbabasa, panonood, at pakikinig. And people's view can be conveyed in what they have written, in their speeches and essay, in the lectures they deliver, and so on and so far. Teachers must use positive symbols in our gestures, in our actions, in our words, to express our care, our belief, our trust to our students, because that is actually an affirmation to their being. And besides, when we do, that has also positive impact on us. We find ourselves more prepared in class, more caring, and truly professional. As the term implies, symbolic interactionist theory states that people interact with one another through the symbols, and language is a predominant symbol among people. Language in all forms, in action, in words, and in the language it is being used from the primitive society up to this stage. And we people, attach meanings to the symbols, and then we act according to our subjective interpretation to that symbol. Faulty communication can result from the differences in the perception of the same events and symbols. At sa realidad, nangyayari talaga ito kahit sa ating pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Mapakapatid, mapaguro, mapamagulang, nangyayari talaga yung minsan hindi pagkakaunawaan. Kaya naman, it is very important that our symbols are understood by the others in a way that they were intended to be. Kasi po, ang slight misinterpretation ng ating symbol na ginagamit ay maaaring magresulta na nga doon sa ating misunderstanding. At pag nagkaroon na ng misunderstanding, doon na maaaring mag-arise yung tinatawag nating conflict. Now, what is the weakness of symbolic interaction theory? Critics say that the symbolic interactionism neglects the macro level of social interpretation, that big picture. In other words, symbolic interactionists may miss the larger issues in the society by just focusing too closely to that supposed tree and by restricting themselves in small interactions. But anyway, symbolic interactionism traces its origin to Max Weber's assertion that individuals act according to their interpretation of the meaning of the world. However, it was really George H. Mead who introduced the concept or the perspective to the American sociology in the 1920s. That is all my report about the three social theories. This is J. Vigal Figuera, BS Ed Science 2. Thank you for watching.